Sioshiwakona sidalubuzawan. Sioshiwakona sidalubuzawan.
I have the tough job of following that group. Thank you to the O'Brien Varsity Choir for that wonderful performance. A great way to begin a wonderful morning. I'm Catherine Gross, Chair of the Edvestors Governing Board. We are so glad that you've all joined us this Halloween morning for the 14th Annual School on the Move Prize presentation. I'm here to welcome you, thank you, and of course, encourage you to support us further. The $100,000 School on the Move Prize shines a light on the most rapidly improving schools that can serve as a model for other schools in Boston. The prize is accompanied by research to document and share best practices. This work is part of our critical mission to help increase the number of schools in Boston that deliver dramatically improved outcomes for all of our children. Over the years, the prize has demonstrated that real change can and does happen in Boston schools. And equally important, we record and share what it takes to make it happen. In addition to the voices from the finalist schools that you'll hear today, we're eager for you to hear our other speakers, including our Mayor of Boston, Martin J. Walsh, newly appointed Superintendent, Dr. Brenda J. Cassellius, sorry, that J belonged to Marty, Massachusetts Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Education, Jeff Riley. Before I go any further, I want to acknowledge and thank my fellow board members who are partners in this work. Would members of the Edvestors Governing Board please stand? I'm very fortunate to have those partners in this work. And I'd also like to thank School on the Move host committee members who helped make today's event possible. Could you please stand as well? Thank you. I think we know an event of this size is not possible without the generous support of many, in particular the host committee members and the sponsors for this year's prize. And on behalf of Edvestors, I want to thank you all for supporting this year's prize event. Everyone is listed on your programs as well as on your table, but special thanks go to the incredibly generous lead sponsors, Kathy and Jim Stone, presenting sponsor for this morning's event, Liberty Mutual. Thank you very, very much. And this is where I get to test the oxygen in my system, because I'm going to list the critically important sponsors of the prize in alphabetical order. Berkshire Bank, Berry Dunn, BDO, Boston Private, Brown Advisory, Eaton Vance, Goldman Sachs, Fidelity Investments, Fiduciary Trust, Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, InSource, JetBlue, Lego Education, Microsoft, Nellie Mae Education Foundation, Plymouth Rock, Rockland Trust, and State Street, along with many of you here today, individuals and foundations who are also listed. Boston is incredibly fortunate to have the civic community that's represented here today to support our schools. The sponsors and supporters are key to making this event and our broader work happen. And now I have the job of getting everyone in the room enthusiastic about helping us with this work as well. Toward that end, we invite you to join us in supporting the work of school improvement by making a gift this morning. Everything wonderful that's about to unfold in the next hour happens with the hard work of the Edvestors staff, and we need to get them the resources they need to do their work. By participating this morning, you put yourself in the running for one of our wonderful raffle prizes. The raffle prize information, I believe, is up on the slide and on your tables, so I won't repeat it. But I think it's enough to say that we don't have a chance every day to win access to the Houghton Mifflin Harcourt luxury box to take in a Red Sox game next year, or 2 airline tickets to travel anywhere in the USA thanks to JetBlue. I believe that Houghton Mifflin is going to guarantee that the Sox are having a great season next year, so I would definitely jump on that. Thanks to both Houghton Mifflin and JetBlue, as well as our other generous raffle prize donors, who are all listed. A donation of $500 puts you in the running for the Red Sox luxury box. Any contribution, the cost of a Starbucks latte, can get you 2 JetBlue tickets, so I hope you'll consider participating. Before handing the mic over to Claire Shaw of Liberty Mutual, I'd like to share a few lines from a poem called To Be of Use by Marge Percy. For me, they're a good reminder of why your decision to show up today and join us was such a good one. The people I love best jump into work head first, without dallying in the shallows, and swim off with sure strokes, almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, like the black, sleek heads of seals bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the muck and the mud to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. The teachers and school leaders who are being honored today are the people who do what has to be done again and again in our city. Thank you for helping to support them. And now I'd like to invite to the podium Claire Shaw, longtime philanthropic leader in Boston and current National Director of Programs for Corporate Giving at Liberty Mutual. Please join me in welcoming Claire and thanking her for all that she and Liberty Mutual do for the city.
Thank you. It's good to see so many friends. And Cass, thank you for your leadership at Edvestors and for reminding me about that poem. I had on my desk for many years. It's a great one. So the O'Brien was wonderful. Can we have another hand for, I hope someone will tell the students. And that was a fantastic start to this morning. I've had a long personal connection and effort to expand arts education in BPS and partnership with Edvestors. And it's so wonderful to see the fruits of that work on this stage. Like many of you in this room, I have the deepest respect for Edvestors and their thoughtful, smart, and strategic work to close opportunity and achievement gaps for Boston students. It's important work that we all need to engage in. It's an honor for me to represent Liberty Mutual this morning as the lead sponsor at this year's School on the Move Prize. We're so pleased to support this fantastic event year after year and to honor the great work happening in Boston Public Schools. Thank you to all the fellow sponsors and supporters for making the prize and this event possible. It really takes all of us to improve education in this city, so thank you. To the 3 finalist schools, we at Liberty feel very proud to play a small part in celebrating your significant achievements. Today is about celebrating the teachers, school staff, and school leaders who show up and put in hard work day after day to make a difference in the life of Boston's young people. Today, we lift up the promise of public education and the often overlooked unsung heroes of the city's public schools. At Liberty, we believe that progress happens when people feel secure, and we definitely believe there's a strong synergy in educational achievement. Of the 3 areas that we fund in, education is essential to helping young people who've often been underserved realize that full potential. So, on to the work. We're happy to collaborate with you, our partners, to help sustain and build Dr. Cassellius' vision for the future of BPS. And for all of the principals, administrators, staff, and teachers here today, please know that we are deeply honored to celebrate your work and accomplishments. And now, I'm excited to get a glimpse with all of you of our first school, the Bradley Elementary School in Orion Heights neighborhood of East Boston. Let's take a look at what the Bradley's been up to, and I believe after that video, Marinelle's going to be back up here. Thank you for coming.
Welcome to the Bradleys. The Bradley School is an amazing place.
So every day at the Bradley, we start with our entire community, our families and our students and siblings meeting in our schoolyard, and students actually lead that assembly.
Be bold enough to use your voice.
Our students are coming from mostly immigrant families, from Central and South America, from Morocco and Algeria. So they're building community with one another by sharing stories. You need to be able to orally tell your story in order to understand more about the community that you live in. And that's something that we want our students to really develop because we think it's something that allows them to become change agents in our society. So when you walk into a classroom at the Bradley, you're going to see kids talking and teachers facilitating. And that's really a mindset shift that was new to our community. So we really want our students to be able to communicate effectively with one another and to be able to critique one another's ideas.
We stop and we talk in our groups or partners.
If we're going through each other's work, it helps me more. Like if I get something wrong, I understand what I got wrong and then I learn from my mistake.
Another huge need that we saw was the need for student support systems. Students who might come to school after a tough day know that they have an adult in the building to go to. And having that understanding that they're supported here, it allows our kids to engage in some of those high-level academic conversations. The same texts are being read, whether you're in an advanced work class or a general education or inclusion class. The same mathematical strategies are being taught. Our teachers are committed to ensuring that every child has access to that high-level content and the supports that they need to get there.
All the teachers are nice. If you're stuck on something, they will help you.
If someone is feeling sad, the teachers comfort you and they make you feel happy.
We're incredibly proud of the work that we've done here at the Bradley, but we're never satisfied with where we are because we continuously want to grow and learn.
The Bradley is a great school. Why? Because I love it. It's educational. Everyone is super duper nice here. And
well, I think everybody is super duper nice here for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us this morning to celebrate the important work of Boston educators in our schools. I'm Marinelle Rumanier, and I'm proud to serve as the CEO of Edvestors and get the chance to welcome each of you here this morning. As we get started, I want to personally recognize a few folks in the room, starting with our elected and appointed officials. I know we're joined this morning by City Councilor Ed Flynn, Boston School Committee Chairperson Michael Lecanto, and school committee members Hardin Coleman, Michael O'Neill, and Jerry Robinson. Please join me in thanking them for being here. And I'd like to thank the entire Edvestors team, starting with our committed governing board and our dedicated, talented staff. Truthfully, my favorite part of standing at a podium at events like this is the chance to recognize them publicly for all the work they do, It's a talented team that I really am privileged to work with every day. They work so hard behind the scenes to make this event happen and to forward all of the work they do in Boston schools. So please join me in publicly recognizing them for all their work. And they can wave. I don't know if they got a chance to wave. I missed the wave, but they're in the back because they're working so hard to make sure everybody's in the places they need to be this morning. Edvestors works alongside schools in Boston as a partner and independent critical friend, advancing our mission to improve the number of schools delivering dramatically improved results for our students. We work in 3 ways. First, we seed good ideas coming directly from schools to pilot, test, and innovate through our School Solutions Seed Fund. Second, we work to shine a spotlight on school improvement, which is why we're here today. And lastly, we scale efforts to work at the system level to close opportunity and achievement gap students, currently through our 3 strategic initiatives: to expand arts education, to increase middle grades math proficiency, and to strengthen career pathway opportunities for high school students. Together, these efforts impact thousands of students in Boston, schools that are both district and charter across our city. But I want to return to why we're here today, and that's the School on the Move Prize, which enables us to focus on the schools that are seeing the improvement that we hope for all of our schools and students. They're substantially improving, and they're showing us the way to make those changes across the system and across our state. I've been fortunate the last 2 years to ride the bus with the panelists and get a chance to visit all 3 of the finalist schools. It's been said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, what I can tell you is a school visit is worth 100,000 words, not dollars, but in one case, that too. Those visits allow us the chance to see the fuller canvas and the finer details of a school community and their efforts to educate all of the children in their care. What stuck out to me on these visits this year was not a new program or idea. It was something actually fundamental for all of us, and that's engagement and relationships. What we saw time and time again was a focus on relationships and how it enabled teachers and students to do their best work together, and also that work of relationships was critical to whole school change. Research bears this out. Students and teachers that have strong relationships equal students who have higher attendance and better grades. And the research is starting to also point the way to the fact that these relationships can be a mitigating factor for toxic stress and trauma. Simply put, students who feel safe and supported by adults in the building are better able to learn. We saw this in action in the video we just watched at the Bradley's morning assembly, and as we have virtual visits to our other 2 schools, we'll see different examples of this same work. These schools illustrate how we can be intentional about this relationship building across systems and structures, alongside rigorous and relevant academics. Which points to the second approach that stood out to me on these visits: engagement. Sure, we saw grade-level, standards-aligned instruction. For those of you in the room who are not in education, that's the way we talk. But we also saw teachers elevating student voice, making learning hands-on, and bringing partners into the buildings to enrich the work. Here again, the research is clear. Student engagement is core to student achievement. The learning must be relevant and capture student interest. And this is most urgent for students who have historically had the least access to this kind of learning: students of color, English language learners, and students with disabilities. Fortunately, we have examples that can light the way of schools that are doing this work differently. We have our 3 finalists here today, but we also have the Donald McKay K-8 school in East Boston, the 2018 School on the Move Prize winner. We're delighted to share the story of the McKay this morning via the case study that we've released today. I want to thank the Rennie Center for Education Research and Policy for being our longtime partner in this effort to document best practices of winning schools, a key feature of the prize. The McKay's improvement trajectory illustrates the conditions necessary for educators to create in-depth, engaging, relevant learning opportunities across a school, an approach known as deeper learning. The McKay story has particular resonance as the state is focused on deeper learning, which is why we're so pleased that Jeff Riley, the Massachusetts Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Education, is here with us today. I first met the commissioner when he was the principal of the Edwards Middle School in Charlestown, and then as he moved to the district to be the Chief Innovation Officer in the central office. I, like many of you, followed his path to Lawrence in 2012, where he became the receiver of a troubled school district to put it on the path to success over his 6-year tenure. Over a year and a half in his role as commissioner, Commissioner Riley has toured the state, visiting schools and talking to educators to inform his resulting vision that he released in June called Our Way Forward. This way forward places deeper learning at the center. So I hope you'll join me in welcoming Commissioner Riley to the stage to share more about this important effort. Oh, look at you with the big steps, sir. Yeah, good.
So the majority of my career was spent in middle school, so I had to deal with things like this. I will say good morning, everyone. It's great to see so many known quantities, known faces. Great to see everybody today. I am going through something of an existential struggle as I try to figure out whether the candy corns, which are part of the table tent locator, are a decorative garnish or something that's available to eat. I will tell you that because I tend to eat too many candy corns and get sick, I decided to refrain. But had that been Snicker bars, we might have had a real problem. Good morning. Thank you all for being here on behalf of our kids in Boston. 25 years ago, we did something called education reform. We started in 1993. And what we did was we spent a lot of time on systems and structures, test scores, and accountability. And we built a strong foundation in the state for rapid improvement. And what we saw was Massachusetts at the time in 1993 was kind of in the top third of performing states. But when we did this ed reform, we rocketed to #1. But if we look more closely, we see we've kind of flatlined for the last 8 to 10 years, and that we've got to kind of close the chapter on ed reform and figure out what is next. What I've said in my time as commissioner is what's next is a return to focus on teaching and learning, on instruction, on what we call deeper learning. And we know if we only were to listen to the kids, that this is the way that we need to go. This is another example of why we need deeper learning. Of course, there's always this. And of course, my personal favorite, this. I will remind you all that each and every one of those answers is actually correct. And look, our children can be challenging. Their minds are always going. We need to be ready for them. I have 2 children who I'm proud to say attend the Boston Public Schools and have since they were babies. This is my girl, Maya. And this was her after her kindergarten year at the Harvard Kent. But I'm not playing favorites today, I promise. As a side note, I do want to say that Maya had Mrs. Nunez for kindergarten, maybe the greatest kindergarten teacher in the world. I would go and I wanted to stay forever and I'm told that she's retiring, is that true? Well, she will be missed. What an amazing educator. But Maya is not as wonderful as she looks. And now that she's become a teenager, she is problematic. Maya remembers all the things that I did wrong as a parent and now is trying to pay me back. And as a freshman in the Boston Public Schools, she found a great way to do it this summer. Now, my daughter loves the Cookie Monster, and she decided this summer that she would put the voice of the Cookie Monster onto my GPS Waze system. Now, I assure you that was really cute and funny the first time that I went for a drive. But what you don't know, but what Maya definitely knew, was that her father has no idea how to take the Cookie Monster voice off of the GPS system. And so 3 months later, everywhere I go with Cookie. Kids are telling us they are ready for engagement. How do I know that? As principal at the Edwards Middle School in Charlestown, I got a frantic call, this was 12, 15 years ago, a long time ago, from an angry grandmother, a townie grandmother, and in Charlestown you keep the townie grandmothers happy or bad things happen. And at 6 a.m. she called yelling and screaming at me, "How could you do this? What's wrong with you? Are you out of your mind?" And I said, "Ma'am, what are we talking about?" And she said, "It's this candy sale." And I said, "Well, every school in America has to do a candy sale right now." And she says, "That's not what I mean." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "It's the price." And I said, "I don't think $1 is too much to ask for a candy bar in this day and age." And she said, "$1? Your kids are selling them for $5." Now, Anthony got in trouble on that day, but there wasn't a small part of me that didn't admire his critical thinking, capitalistic American spirit that he brought to the game. The point of all of this is that our kids need to be engaged, and if they're not engaged, they are going to do things that we don't want them to do. In my travels across the state, I've seen a lot of great things, but almost in every high school I've been to, I've also seen this. And when we survey kids, what we know is kids are reporting they are not engaged, particularly at the high school. Kids complain about two things. They complain about the food, which aside from candy corns we're not here to talk about today, but they also complain is, what does this have to do with the real world we live in, we're going into, that you're preparing us for? And so we as educators need to get back together and focus back on instruction so that our kids are ready, God bless you, for what's next. We call this deeper learning. We want our kids to have amazing, engaging activities or tasks married to the state standards that will make sure that they learn the material. For a long time in education, hundreds plus years, we've taught sometimes in the same way. Lecture kids Monday to Thursday, give them the test on Friday, they forget the information by Saturday, and then we rinse and repeat for the next 40 weeks. But what we know is our best teachers are already doing deeper learning. And we need to unshackle them and let them work on great, amazing activities married to the state standards so that our kids will remember the information in their long-term memories. And that's what deeper learning is. I'll give you a simple definition for deeper learning. How many of you are parents? Fair enough. I'm going to role play. Let's do a role play, and then we'll follow that with a trust fall. No, I'm just kidding. We'll put that in the parking lot. I'm going to be you, and you're going to be your child. "Hey, how was school today?" And you say, "Fine or good, both acceptable." "What'd you learn?" Deeper learning seeks to destroy that routine that you go through. So when we put this idea out to the field, we said we're going to start a small network of schools and districts that are interested. We thought we'd get 30 or 40 applications. As of today, we have 510 applications from schools and districts that want to do deeper learning. And so what that says to me is the field understands that we've got to get back to the business of teaching and learning. If you look at the McKay case study, that is a school that does deeper learning. I look at the 3 finalists, I bet, without question, they're doing deeper learning. And not just because they were all trained by Peter Lynch at the Lynch Leadership Academy. Right? I think people are ready for this change. Oh, that's an ugly slide. We're not going to do that. At the end of the day, we have an amazing opportunity to get back together and focus on what's next. A relentless focus on teaching and learning is the way to go. We can be sure that our kids get the amazing academic and extracurricular opportunities that they need, and deeper learning is the way. Thank you all so much.
Welcome to the Harvard Kent. All the kids and teachers here are nice, like really nice.
The diversity of the Harvard Kent is something that's unique, not just ethnically, but also where our kids come from and the different type of programs that we have. We have a program here for students who are new to the country from China, learning English for the first time. We have a bit of added support for students with emotional impairments. The diversity of our school it's our strongest strength. It's the fact that kids are getting to learn next to and grow up next to kids from very different backgrounds.
We all have each other's backs. A little help doesn't hurt anybody, does it?
The most important thing that we do for our kids every day is we make them feel like they're in a safe and welcoming school. And then the next thing we have to do is the job of making sure that they're proficient readers and writers and mathematicians and scientists. If the kids are happy to be here and their families want them to be here, then our chances of having success with those kids grows infinitely. Our teachers know our kids so well that really a lot of the work we do is individualized, academically, social, emotionally.
All the teachers give all their effort. If we give up or if we back down, they'll always be rooting for us.
The breadth of things that we offer is pretty deep. I think it's part of the puzzle of making sure the kids are happy while they're here in school and also learning something different that will help them as they move forward.
At the Harvard Kent, we learn Mandarin.
We have theater where we can put on plays. We have the Harvard Kent Times.
I'm going to do boat building with our boat building teacher, Bob the boat builder.
We have robotics, which is very cool.
You know, we are a school on the move. It's nice to be nominated. It validates the work that we're doing every day. But I also know that the work continues no matter what.
Harvard Kent should win the School on the Move prize because it is a very good school and I personally love it, my brother loves it, and I'm sure when my baby sister comes to the school, she's gonna love it too.
What a powerful video, but also what a powerful performance by the John D. O'Brien. Give them another round of applause. And also, Jeff, I was thinking the same thing, man. I've been staring at that candy corn. It's the one time a year that I love it, you know, and so I wanted to grab some so now I won't feel so bad parking it on the way out. So I hope that you've all been energized by what you've seen so far. And I know that our chair came up, and she's just so nice. She was asking you to participate, but you know why they send me up here. They send me up here because, you know, you've heard directly from the students all of the work that's going on in the schools, and it's so powerful. You know, I love to build boats and design things. You see them doing all the kind of work that they're doing. Look at the learning opportunities, and these cost money. You not only have the opportunity to support this great organization, but you also might get something else in return. If you just give something, no matter what amount you give, you are part of a raffle to win something. Now, I know everyone likes winning. You talk about the folk that win when you leave. I can't believe they won. Well, they won because they're giving. And so we need you to do that. But also, if you contribute $500, you get a chance of a night in the Houghton Mifflin box. That's 22 people for $500 at the Red Sox game. Now, I don't know what game it is, but whatever game you take 22 folk to, That's an incredible game. In the box, you won't have to worry about your knees and your this, or stuff spilling on you and that kind of thing. What an incredible experience. And so there are pledge forms right on your table. Please fill those out. The portals will be closed. You're no slipping out early. We will be grabbing them from you. But I'm excited to be up here for another reason, because I get a chance to introduce our colleague, Dr. Brenda Cassellius, who's here at her first School on the Move prize event. So last year, I had the opportunity to co-chair the search committee that was about convincing our superintendent to come here to the city. Some of those members are here. Could you stand up if you're here and you're a member of the search committee for the schools? Come on, don't be shy, stand up. Because they did an incredible job. Incredible job. And so the search process, they kept it very confidential. We went out all over the country. We're bringing people in. I think Dr. Cassellius believes that it was one of the better searches that she's been a part of, because she's always asking us, well, what happened during the search? How did you? Well, what happened? I'm going to reveal some of that to you today. When you walked in, we have been around to every neighborhood in this city. And when we went to those neighborhoods, they told us that they wanted someone who not only was an incredible scholar, but someone who was a practitioner, someone who knew how to get out and serve in the community, someone who had an incredible spirit, and when she walked in the room or he walked in the room, you just felt it. And so you walked in and you sort of had us at hello. Now we put you through lots of stuff, but here you are. And so that's the little secret, okay? But with more than 3 decades as an educator, why wouldn't we choose Dr. Brenda Cassellius? She's devoted her career to ensuring that all children succeed and that they thrive. She has an unrelenting commitment to ensuring that every child receives an equitable, exceptional, and joyful education. Joyful. That's what our commissioner was talking about. Going to school and feeling like you can tell somebody about it when you come home instead of saying, it's all right. What an incredible thing. Her leadership is student-centered, supportive of educators, and grounded in collaboration and effective community partnerships. Everywhere I go in this city, she's already been there. You know, everyone I want to introduce her to, she's already met. She is getting around. She most recently served as Minnesota's Commissioner of Education, where her work led to comprehensive education reforms that resulted in historic new state funding for schools and the highest high school graduation rates on record for all student groups. For everybody was graduating from high school. Dr. Cassellius knows what it's like to work and lead in nearly every aspect of public education. She began as a paraprofessional in the classroom. Then she moved from there to a teacher. She was also a central office leader, a supervisor of schools, a district superintendent, and then the chief state school officer. She certainly hit the ground running. You know, people love when you put something out there in the public like, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Folks love to just use that as a barometer for whether you're successful or not. So my friends have been betting me, and your girl said she's going to visit every school in the city. She won't get that done. She's going to run out of steam. Well, there's 125 schools, and there's lots of neighborhoods, and to this date, she's already been to 90. 90 how many? 94. Oh, hey, I got 90 from her people. It's 94 already? I'm going to win that bet. We're so glad she was able to add this event to her whirlwind tour. And so without further ado, come on up here, Superintendent, and introduce yourself. Thank you so much.
I want his energy this morning. Well, thank you, Keith, and thank you to all the distinguished members of the School on the Move Selection Committee and panel for your careful consideration of this year's finalists. Already we've witnessed two, and they're pretty impressive. I want to especially give a special thank you to Marinelle and your incredible leadership for this organization, and also for your support on BPS and the many capacities that you give. So I want to give you a round of applause. I want to also thank the Commissioner for being here today and supporting Boston Public Schools. I especially want to thank you for being a parent of Boston Public Schools, for serving in the Boston Public Schools, and for being a champion, and your incredible focus on deeper learning, and then this morning for bringing the joy. So thank you. I also want to thank the sponsors of this event, the Intercontinental Hotel, and all the servers who are serving us today. Can we give the servers a round of applause? I've heard so much about this event, and I think it's wonderful that we're celebrating the improvement and the wonderful accomplishments of our schools in such grand fashion. Thank you again to Edvestors for all that you do to support the Boston Public Schools, from your efforts to expand arts education, to improve math instruction, and to strengthen career pathways, as we saw earlier. In Boston Public Schools, your work has made a tremendous difference for our students. We value your partnership with Edvestors so much, and in my short time here in this district, I've really seen how your partnership has really made just an incredible difference. The School on the Move Prize points the way toward places and practices that are making substantial improvement, and helps other schools and districts to follow the lead of Boston Public Schools. The prize not only spotlights the wonderful work of schools, but it also documents their strategies so that we can learn from each other. I always say teachers learn best from other teachers. I'm so proud of the 3 remarkable schools that we recognize this morning. Their efforts demonstrate what is possible when school communities come together to deliver on the promise of high-quality education for every student. As I've gone around, you might hear me saying, this is all hands on deck. Throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to visit hundreds of schools. It's been an incredible privilege to be in these schools. The road to improvement can take many paths from what I've observed, and these key improvement strategies include strong relationships where everyone works together, and we heard the children saying, teachers are just nice in this school. Matter of fact, one student said, they're super duper nice. High quality teachers, and we heard the commissioner talk about the deeper learning and the incredible connection that they can make to their work, and that they can find joy in their work, and having that be standards aligned and still find joy in their work. Use of data to support strong instruction, making sure that we're looking at how kids are doing and what assessment systems we're using, and then doing something about it when they're not learning, and making sure their parents are fully involved in their education. A strong school principal who's impassioned. School leadership matters so much, and I think you will see from these 3 leaders the incredible passion that they share. A robust community and the partnerships that they have, and I want to thank every one of you in this room who continue to partner with us every single day to get it done for our kids. I know Edvestors has found the same attributes in the Schools on the Move finalists over the years, and these elements are certainly present at the Bradley, the Harvard-Kent, and the Kenny. Every time I read the Kenny, it just seems so familiar because my own children went to the Kenny School in Minneapolis Public Schools, and it was an underperforming school. Matter of fact, I sent my kids to the highest performing school when I first moved back from Memphis, and then when we changed zones, my school was, we bought a house in a school in the neighborhood where the school was one of the 5% lowest performing. It didn't feel right for me not to be part of that change. So I took my kids out of the highest performing school, Minneapolis Public Schools, and I put them in the underperforming school. 3 years later, that school was a state's blue ribbon school. Over the past several weeks, I've held community meetings, as Dr. Motley spoke about, made numerous visits, met with faith-based leaders, and thank you, Pastor Acevedo, for your incredible leadership in getting that organized. I've met with the BTUs several times and the teachers, and Jessica Tang is here with us today representing teachers, and dozens of other stakeholders and community groups. And it has been incredible. Boston Public Schools has really placed education as a top priority, and I just can't thank the community enough. I really do love being inside our schools and seeing the children laugh and having joy. From school leaders and staff, of course, and what's working, and we need some improvements, but absolutely, I see incredible, incredible staff putting their hearts in this work every single day, and I can't thank them enough. All these schools have demonstrated sustained academic performance and a commitment to providing supports for social and emotional learning, as well as outdoor play, the arts, and other fine ways to increase connectedness for their children. All three schools also place an emphasis on the arts. Their strategic vision for the district, which is rolled out in the next several months, is going to have a strong arts focus on it. And a central focus is going to be looking at all of these things put together, and it will be partnerships, community voices, parent engagement, and also providing opportunities for a well-rounded education. Edvestors has helped tremendously in strengthening the arts programming in our schools and believes very strongly in the power of arts education. I'm so thankful to Edvestors' great work in expanding the arts to reach even more of our students. And I want to just give a special shout out to Laura Perel for her leadership of Edvestors for so many years and her past leadership. And her past year's leadership as well at the Boston Public Schools. From marching band at the Kenny, to visual arts and music instruction at the Harvard Kent, to the community partnerships with Boston Ballet at the Bradley, students at all three schools are benefiting from a well-rounded education. I want to wish the finalists the best of luck, not only just for this award, but also for everything that you're going to do this year and beyond. I can't wait to learn who the winner is along with all of you. But regardless of who the finalist is named for this year's School on the Move, we should be incredibly proud not only of the work of the Harvard Kent, the Bradley, the Kennedy, but of the amazing work going on inside each and every one of our Boston Public Schools. I'm so happy to be here for this wonderful event, and I'm so happy to be the Superintendent of Boston Public Schools. Thank you.
Welcome to the Kenny.
Kenny School is awesome because everyone in the school has like a good personality. We're all very inclusive.
About a quarter of our students are students with disabilities. We have a third of our students are students who are English language learners. We have a variety of linguistic backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds. One of the things that I'm really proud of about our school is that we've created a family. When I first got here, I remember there being a really distinct need for change. A lot of issues with student engagement, which led to a lot of issues with behavior. We believe that you cannot punish a child into engaging in classroom instruction. And so we created a system where we provide support, we build relationships, we bring in families. We needed operations, systems, routines, structures. We needed to improve our academic outcomes. We took available minutes within the school day in which teachers were not teaching a homeroom classroom, and we created intervention blocks. We've created a safe and consistent environment for students where they know that they will be challenged and supported and loved.
Every morning we have a pledge, and it's called the Kenny Pride Pledge.
Kenny Pride means follow the rules, but still have fun and be safe.
Kenny Pride is perseverance, responsibility, integrity, dedication, and effort. Students are rewarded for demonstrating those values by earning something called a Kenny Paw. For students, they are incredibly intelligent, they are incredibly driven, and to be recognized for that effort, to be a finalist for the Edvestors School on the Move prize, it's like we're all getting the biggest paw prize there is. We see all of the circumstances that are involved in being an urban public school, and we don't see those as reasons why we can't do something. We see those as reasons why we must do something.
The Kenny School is preparing me to be a good person when I grow up. You can be you and you can have fun.
I remember the Kenny Paw. There's some pretty cool prizes too. I don't remember having those kind of prizes when I was in grammar school. To be you and to have fun. You know, when we think about our role in our careers and the role that we play every day in our jobs, imagine if we could just be ourselves and have fun. And the fact that these are the lessons that they're learning early on in their career, my only hope is that they carry that spirit and that sense of bringing their whole self to the table as they take on different careers throughout their life. Powerful words said by a very young lady. So now that you've heard from all three schools, you know what a difficult decision the prize selection panel was tasked with this year. You know, serving on the panel and seeing the incredible work that's happening in our Boston schools has been an inspiring experience and oftentimes an eye-opening one as well. I'd like to take a moment to recognize each of the selection panel members who played a role in identifying the top three finalists. Always a very difficult decision of narrowing the finalists down to one winner. But with the help of my fellow panel members, we were able to make, I think, what is a great decision. I'd like to recognize them and ask them please to stand. It's Jim, Phyllis, Pam, Bridget, Ann, Jack, and of course Keith. Please stand and be recognized. So how does one get to these three finalist schools from the city's 125 schools? Well, it's the result of a rigorous selection process which begins with a quantitative screen to identify the schools who are improving substantially faster than their peers over the 5 prior years. Each year, approximately 10% of BPS schools are eligible and invited to apply for the prize. Then that's where the panel's work begins. We review proposals from eligible schools and then meet over the summer to narrow the list down to the 3 finalists. Jim always provides us with an authentic catering, either Indian. This year it was Indian, last year it was sushi. But he always takes care of us because it is hard work and we are there for long periods of time. And what I love most is that we have really insightful discussions and healthy debates, and which is why we end up making such great decisions. In September, we conducted a site visit to all 3 schools in one day. And over the course of the day, we hear from school leaders, teachers, and we have the opportunity to meet students and teachers in the classroom. We also get to observe how they execute on some of the curriculum. And that's where we have the privilege of seeing how the strategies and improvement stories they describe on paper come to life. Our next charge then is to identify the winning school. A school that has articulated and demonstrated a clear improvement story that is relevant to other schools across the city. The other truly valuable part of the prize is its focus on sharing best practices that other schools can learn from. So I will say that visiting all these schools and meeting the teachers, my admiration for the work that is done just continues to grow every year. And more importantly, meeting the students and just watching all the artwork. You know, I think when you walk into several offices, you see that parents have artwork in their, by their desk. And it's kind of like, oh, that's cute, what Jimmy drew or what Susie drew. But what I got to see were actually artworks that resembled how they felt about their life, about the security, of their family. And it really hits home. You know, the kids that wrote, my only wish in life is that my parents get home safe and that I get to see them tonight. And then you think about the environment we're in and the landscape that we expect these children to learn in and to excel in. And I just say we have so much work to do. But when I met the teachers and all the role models that they have in the school, it gave me such great hope that we're heading in the right direction. So we are waiting for the mayor, and I am supposed to stall. So I figured, anyone want salsa lessons? No? All right. But of course, the good news is that there are great prizes, and we should talk about them a little bit. Keith, you want to help me out here? You're my partner in crime. Do you know how to dance salsa? Can we play some salsa? I'm actually serious. Do you know how to dance salsa, Keith?
Listen, I can do any kind of dance you want to do. However, the one dance I'm not going to do this morning is to dance around the opportunity to ask you one more time for some money.
That's right.
Okay? So we're going to dance our way, and I'm going to spin you around as we ask them for this money. Now listen, I already told you about the box, but what about the raffle prizes? You know, some of you are saying, well, Keith, I don't have the $500 to give today. But you have less than that to give. Some of you were insulted by the fact I asked you for $500. I apologize. So all of you that want to give a little bit more than $500, you know, $10,000 people in the room, the $5,000, it's okay. I apologize. Do you apologize?
No, I never apologize.
She don't apologize.
But you know what, Keith?
We're asking you for more.
Keith, Hanukkah's in 53 days and Christmas is in 55 days. Might as well throw Ramadan and Eid in there. My husband's Muslim, my nieces are Jewish, and I'm Roman Catholic. Let's get all the holidays in there. Imagine if you show up to Christmas and say, hey, honey, I got us a box for 22 of your closest friends. And you can even bring your mother.
And imagine if you roll into the house tonight and you have a centerpiece with some candy corn in it. Oh, I was thinking about you all day. I wanted to get nostalgic with you. Here's some candy corn.
What about an Xbox party for 10? I mean, every mother's dream. 10 of your son's closest friends playing Xbox.
What about an Xbox party for 20?
There you
go. If you want us to stop, you need to pick up some of them cards and you need to fill it out. Now, you know the mayor has an incredibly busy schedule, but we also know that you have an incredibly busy schedule too. That's why we want to let you know again how grateful we are for you taking time to be with us this morning. Now, the only people in this room that this is impacting more than it's impacting us are the folk who don't know whether they won yet. They're all sitting there, what a great stall. Oh, I hope he doesn't do this again when it's his turn to announce us. Listen, please give. I know that he's on his way because you start seeing people fall in to the room and they're starting to move around and those kinds of things. And everybody's face has went from, I'm so panicked that Keith, and if I might just get up there and announce the prize anyway, or do something like that, which we wouldn't do. Fingers crossed. Anyway.
I was just thinking about the JetBlue flights. You know, the weather's so beautiful in Boston, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. Not Barbados or anything like that.
Well, but is there an opportunity to do that with the JetBlue flights?
Anywhere you want.
Anywhere you want to go on JetBlue. Now, I love JetBlue because they have extra leg room. And you don't have to pay first class for that, okay? So JetBlue, my favorite airline. Let me put that's right. Oh, sponsors, can sponsors win? Or that's not fair. That would be like me coming up here, raffling off a car and then winning it. You guys would be so upset with me. We can give and give it to a teacher. That would be nice. If you win and you're a sponsor, give it to a teacher. That's nice. They're saying, please, I'm taking that 22. They said, please, I'm taking that 22 home and I'm giving it out for one of those holidays. That was their idea. But anyway, thank you. So what's up with the progress on the mayor? He's one light away. We got something for that.
All right, well, there we go.
And then that means that he has to say hello to everybody coming up every escalator on his way here. So somebody make sure he gets on an elevator instead of an escalator.
Yeah. You know, Jim is actually a very interesting person, and I bet he can probably do a better job entertaining you. So how about we hand it over to Jim Stone, the selection panel chair.
Look, they're all waving. They're waving us off.
You want us to keep the commercials going? Do we get commission? I mean, that was a pretty cool JetBlue commercial.
I think that was a really good one. What are the other prizes? A staycation where?
In Boston.
Like
that's why it's called the staycation.
I mean, Intercontinental?
No. But maybe, is there anyone in the Intercontinental? I bet you we can probably get them to,
Oh,
we're going to
they want us to talk about text to donate.
Yeah,
it's MOVE.
Yeah, it's a new, it's my other, yeah. It's actually a new, it's a new process we have here. Do you have glasses? I know.
But here's the deal. Not only do I not have glasses, but I have it in 22 font for you.
You know,
okay?
Here we go. All right.
Here it is. Right
All right,
here.
we now.
You can see that.
So we have a new option.
Oh, here he is. Here comes the mayor.
We were done. Oh, thank God. Mayor, we were struggling up here. Boy, Mayor, did you come at a good time.
I was getting ready to go back in their pockets, man. You came right on time.
We were going to do salsa classes and everything waiting for you. All right, well, I will now hand it over to the selection panel chair, Dr. Jim Stone, Chairman and CEO of Plymouth Rock Assurance Corporation. Jim has served on the selection panel since the prize was inaugurated in 2006 and has chaired the panel since 2009. And together with his wife, Kathy, serves as one of the lead sponsors of the prize. His passion for public education and for this prize is evident. And I've had the chance to get to know Jim, and just an extremely interesting individual, but most importantly, one of the kindest leaders in our community, in our Commonwealth. So thank you, Jim, for everything you and Kathy do.
As you can see, we chose all of the panel members except me for their comedic abilities. So I have had the privilege of chairing the panel and sponsoring the prize for about a dozen years, but I am not given the privilege of telling you who the winner is. Building suspense is a big part of this breakfast. So I do want to give an additional thanks to those who served on the panel with me, and to say that it's easy to find discouraging stories from time to time about how education is going. Newspapers are sometimes full of them. It's really wonderful to focus on the other side, on the uplifting stories, sometimes too unheralded. There really are good outcomes. So it's a real treat for both heart and mind to reward a school that has lifted its performance impressively, found a coherent strategy for keeping that progress going, and presenting a model for other schools to learn from. This is therefore a special moment. So while I can't tell you the winner, you'll get that very soon, I will say that all three schools should really be congratulated. since everybody's mind has been on the World Series. To be one of the three that are here today, you know, it's like winning the pennant. That's pretty darn good. And the fact that only one of them, yeah. Only one of them is going to get the top prize, but all three really deserve that applause you just gave them. So now it is my privilege to introduce our guest of honor. He's a man who in this room needs no flattering introduction, but he gets one anyway. Our guest, whom I'm not naming yet, has spent 16 years as a legislator. Throughout his entire time in office, he was always known for compassion, for integrity, and for decency to all. He was a legislator representing one of the state's most diverse districts, but he always had a really special interest in education. He promoted policies to meet all students' learning needs, to drive high achievement in all of our schools. But you may not know this. He helped found the K-8 Neighborhood House Charter School, the Cristo Rey Boston High School with its innovative co-op work model, and the Elizabeth Seton Academy in Dorchester, an independent school for girls. He was a powerful supporter of the 2010 School Reform Act, and he has spoken often and forcibly about the importance of equity, access, accountability, transparency, and collaboration in education. On becoming mayor, that's a hint as to who it's going to be. He hit the ground running, tackling programs no less daunting than mitigation of potential climate disruption, champion affordable housing, and thoughtfully meeting the demands of societal equity. He did so, though, without losing that previous emphasis on education. Since taking office, he's spent time in dozens of schools of every type, including inclusion schools, turnaround schools, alternative pathway programs, pilot schools, charter schools, and exam schools. He's committed himself to upgrading, and it's much needed, our school infrastructure and extending the availability of early childhood education. And as you know, he has recently hired an impressive new superintendent with a very contagious high energy level who shares his values. They are committed to making sure that every Bostonian can enjoy a world-class education regardless of race, geography, or need. So Boston already looks pretty good by national standards for urban schools, but we can do better. So the mayor has already expanded the number of pre-grade school seats, increased the graduation rate, lengthened the school day, collaborated with partners to construct a summer learning program, and enhance the district's art education program. And he's done all of that by building alliances rather than pitting one side against the other. So remember, this is a guy who helped found a charter school but never lost the respect of either the parochial school community or the district administrators and teachers. So our mayor's Boston is an inclusive, welcoming, safe, and nurturing place for all children. He's demanded no less. I really admire his plain-speaking persistence and his unflagging decency. This is a mayor whose tools are sincerity, commitment to community, and not divisiveness. So I trust I speak for all today in saying that we will work with him on the next set of challenges. We are pleased and honored that he's with us this morning, so join me in welcoming Mayor Martin J. Walsh.
Good. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Jim. It's exciting to be here. This is an amazing event every year. And I don't know if, is Laura here? Laura Perel? Laura's there. I used to say this all the time, and I'm saying it again, that it's one of the events that's happy, and I'm like, oh my God, then you watch the three schools that are here, and then the other two are incredible winners. And today, for me, is probably the hottest day of all of them, because the three schools that are being recognized are amazing schools, and I'm going to come back to you in a minute. Let me just thank Laura Perel. It's my first time publicly seeing her since she was the superintendent of Boston Public Schools that senior event, and I want to thank her for the incredible work she did in Boston. over the last year. I want to thank, and I also want to introduce and thank our new superintendent, Brenda Cassellius, who's with us today. And as Jim, I forget the words you used to describe her, but she absolutely is full of energy. There's no question about it, and I am grateful for that as we continue to move forward here. I want to thank Jessica Tang from the Boston Teachers Union, president of the Teachers Union, as well, and her membership. We're a partner in this, working together collectively. From the school committee, Michael Conto, thank you, Michael, the chairman. Hardin Coleman's here. Regina Robinson's here. Thank you so much for your work. Eddie Flynn, City Council Eddie Flynn is here. Thank you, Eddie Flynn. I miss Commissioner Jeff Riley, but I thank Commissioner Riley for his incredible work. To everyone at Edvestors, Marinelle and Catherine, thank you very much for what you do for us here. This is really honestly an incredible day. It shines a light on the schools of Boston, and that's what we need to continue to do. So I want to thank the sponsors, the prize selection panel. I want to thank my friend Keith Motley in the front row here. I want to thank David Lennon from the library. David came up and the board came up with an idea the other day to get rid of the late fees for our kids. So as we have our books being returned, you know. I see Ron Dorsey, the former Chief Education for the City of Boston. Thank you, Ron. It's good to see you here today. To the 3 schools that are here, that are in this competition, this incredible competition, the Bradley in East Boston. When you walk into that school, you can just feel the love, you can feel the excitement, you can feel it from the leadership to the teachers, to the kids, to the custodians. Congratulations, Bradley School. You guys are amazing. The Harvard Kent in Charlestown, congratulations. When I became the mayor, it's a school that I was not familiar with that much. I believe it was a level 3 tinkering there, maybe level 4, and in a couple of years, man, it just shot up. And again, another school you walk into, and you just feel the love in the school. You feel everyone from the school nurse to the woman at the front desk to everyone in that school and the spirit there. So congratulations, Harvard Kent, for the incredible work you do. And to the Kenny School, when I got elected state representative in 1997, the Kenny School was in my district, and at that point it was a level 1, level 2 school, and then it went through all kinds of transitions. And now it's completely transformed. And I was with the principal last year, and we were talking about the next door neighbor. That when her first day at the school, he's like, she was out doing some work in the front yard. The neighbor's like, "What are you doing there?" Basically, you know, forget about it. Don't even do anything. You know, the school, it's just not what it was. And the next year, when she was out there getting ready for the school year, he was out helping her. And again, another school that has just taken every single ounce of space. And the same thing, love. And they have probably the best band in the United States of America, the Kenny School Band. So I want to thank you guys. I'm going to be a cheerleader for our schools because that's my role as mayor of the city of Boston. And when I read something about our schools and I read a story that doesn't tell the whole story, it really bothers me because I pick up the paper too much and I don't see the whole story. And it doesn't put into context what's actually happening in the school system. And it's easy to always point out the negatives of a district. It's easy to point out the negatives of what's not happening. But I never pick up the paper and read about today. Because these 3 schools at one point were underperforming. These 3 schools weren't the top choice of parents at one point. These 3 schools weren't turning our kids out in the way that people expected them to happen. And that's happening today. And not just these 3 schools, but dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of other schools in our district that amazing things happen in our district. And you know, I don't know if there's anybody in the room that's reporting today, but it's all on the record what I'm saying. Because when I read it and I see what's going on, it bothers me because, in case you don't realize it, our kids read the newspaper. Our parents read the newspaper. And people say, you know, the system isn't working. No, it's working. And we're going to continue to make investments, and we're going to continue to do things to make our district strong. In Boston, just so you'll know, we say this, we've made historic investments. When I say historic investments, every year we beat the year before. Since I've been mayor, since 2014, we've never gone backwards. This year's budget is $1.2 billion. We've targeted those investments for proven strategies in closing opportunity and achievement gaps. As we're putting this budget together, Laura was helping us put this budget together, and she's talking about areas, targeted areas. And then when Brenda came in, she said, how are we going to take those areas and even go further in those areas? And it's been a consistency across the board, making sure that as we make these investments, we're making them in targeted areas. We have longer school days. The criticism of the district in 2013 was that we're one of the shortest school days in the country. We're no longer the shortest school day in the country. We have longer school days. And we didn't get that story. But it's making impacts in our kids for more learning. We tried to get some money from the state to have universal pre-kindergarten. Ron started working on 2014, and we were trying to do something creative. New York did something different. They created universal pre-kindergarten, they funded it, and they just didn't, they tried to get the system working at the same time. We decided to come up with a plan, high-quality pre-kindergarten. And we came up with a plan working with providers and working with educators and working with all the folks in this space. And what we did in last year's budget, we made an investment that within the next several years, we're going to have universal pre-kindergarten in the city of Boston, that every 4-year-old has a seat. Some of these cities in America that weren't mentioned in the paper but indirectly mentioned today don't have universal pre-kindergarten. But it's coming to our city. It's coming to our kids. We're working on facilities and technology. We know that 2/3 of our buildings were built prior to World War II. Think about that for a minute. Many of you are in the schools that we're talking about today. Actually, 2 of the 3 schools today were probably World War II buildings, roughly around then. And the Harvard Kent was built probably in the 70s, which that construction in that time wasn't the greatest either. But you think about what they do with the space, and we are making investments in the spaces all over the city of Boston. We're building new schools. And we're putting schools in the pipeline to build new schools. And we're going to continue to do that. In half our schools, we have the My Way Cafe now, where we bring in healthy, fresh, nutritious food. Any school that has the My Way Cafe in it, I see it. I've been in the schools. I've been watching the kids go up. Years ago, kids wouldn't eat salad at the salad bar. Now they have a chance. Now they're eating vegetables. They're eating fruit. They're drinking water with fruit in it. When you go to a spa, you have the fruit in the water. Well, we have it in our schools. And we're seeing more and more of that, and we're going to see the benefits of those investments as we go further down the road. With the help of the teachers union and all of us working collectively together, we have nurses. We're going to have nurses in every single Boston public school. I actually think it was the Bradley last year I went to, and they had, I think it was, you had a half-time nurse. And if a kid is sick in the Bradley and is sick in the school down the street, well, the nurse can't be in 2 places at one time. And now we're going to have nurses in every school. The reason why, when I say we're going to have, we're hiring them. The money's there, we're hiring them. We're working on having more psychologists in our schools to deal with what our young people are dealing with in our schools and what their families are dealing with, quite honestly. Jim mentioned Education Reform Act that I voted on in 2010. It was controversial. People mad at me. I voted for it. I knew it was the right thing to do. What was supposed to happen was we were going to give certain autonomies to the district. And what was supposed to happen was the legislature, and I was part of it, we were supposed to fund wraparound services. And that was supposed to come next. And as all of us know, it didn't necessarily happen that way. And that's where we look at where our gaps are, some of our gaps are, is making sure that we have those wraparound services, and we're working to make sure we get them in our schools. More of our students than ever before in high-quality schools in the city of Boston. I just want to repeat, if anyone's writing about today, More students than ever are in high-quality schools in the city of Boston. Our most recent NCAS, 2/3 of our BPS schools showed improvement. The state classified our district as making substantial progress. I want to thank all of you who fought for the state funding bill that treats each district and each student with real equity. That bill is now in conference committee. That bill is important for Boston, and not just for Boston, but for all of our cities and towns across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We're an urban district. We have a lot of different challenges that other districts don't have. What are not part of my notes is that we lose a lot of kids to the MECO program, which means we lose those families to the MECO program. We lose a lot of kids to charter schools. We lose a lot of kids to private schools, particularly kids of color that private schools are now investing in to make sure they diversify their role. So we lose a lot of the families, the strong families in our district, to other schools, which is fine. But 1/3 of our students still learning English. 1/3 of our students are still learning English. Boston is 700,000 people. 28% of the people that live in the city of Boston were born in another country. We are a city of immigrants, and it reflects it in our school district. Over half of our students are from low-income families. And when I say low-income families, I'm not talking about families that just are making it work. I'm talking about poor families that can't make it work, that we need to continue to help them and how they make it work, and the struggles of those two categories of young people. 4,500 of our students are experiencing homelessness, which means, again, anyone reporting on this today, they don't have a home. They live in a shelter. They live in a room with a lot of other people. They don't have an area to do their homework. They don't have the supports around that they need to be successful. But we have to make sure that we continue to give them the supports they have to move forward. That's 8% of our kids. So you take those three numbers alone and you think of the challenges that our young people have. It's not that simple. I grew up in an immigrant household. My parents were from Ireland. About 3rd grade, they couldn't help me with my homework because it was completely different. But I didn't go to bed hungry at night. And I went to bed in my room at night. And we had supports around us. Half of our kids, more than half our kids in our district don't have that. So of course we're going to have challenges. Of course there's going to be obstacles. But we're celebrating 3 schools today that are dealing with those challenges and those obstacles, and leaders of those schools that are laser focused. And the reason why these leaders are here today and these schools are here today, because all of our leaders care, but they care. If you have a chance today, if you're in this room and you don't know the principals of these 3 schools, do me a favor, go talk to them. Because I didn't know any of these people in 2013 and 14. And I've had a chance to get to know them. And I can see in what they do every day, the commitment they have. I'm going to wrap up in a second. At the Chamber of Commerce, I called on our businesses to get involved, more of our businesses, because it takes a village to provide opportunities. It can't be all on our teachers and our principals and the nonprofits in this room today. It can't be all just on budget investments, even though that's important. It got to be more than that. We have to work collectively together to support our young people. As I look out this room, I see a lot of nonprofits. You do amazing work in our city. I see parent advocacy groups. You do amazing work in our city. We need to make sure that the business community is working with us, and many of them are, but not enough, because people are doing really well in our city today. And the most important asset we have in the city of Boston is our young people, because they are the future of the city of Boston. We need to make sure that they have opportunities like many of us in this room have had and other people have. We need employers to be mentors. We need people, if you're in this room today and you're not part of our mentoring program, which I think almost everyone is, we need you to get engaged in our mentoring program. Lastly, we're all excited. I'm excited that Dr. Cassellius is leading BPS. She's on pace in her first 100 days or something to almost visit every single school. And not just visit every school, but have a relationship. That's the key. It's not about visiting, it's about a relationship. Knowing the people in the schools and knowing the principals and the leaders and the teachers and the families and all that, getting to know who people are and listening to them. Because no one knows better than our leaders know about what we need in our districts. She has been out there talking to parents and students and teachers and leaders in the different areas. She's working with the school committee on plans to reform central office, upgrade our curriculum, and make sure we continue to have these wraparound support systems. When those plans are ready and when they're all complete, we're going to need everyone in this room to help us to continue to move our districts forward. Whether it's the faith community, the nonprofit sector, the business sector, elected officials, any of us, all of us, the media. So I just want to, it seems like every time this breakfast comes, there's always a story I read and it gets me fired up. And I am fired up today. Because it's easy to point out the shortfalls. But what we need to do is celebrate the victories. And that's what we're doing here today. We're celebrating the victories. I don't know what school is going to be on the stage in a few minutes, but as far as I'm concerned, the Kennedy, the Harvard Kent, and the Bradley are the best of the best in the city of Boston. And as I said earlier, there are dozens of other schools that could stand up here and be the best of the best. I'm proud of the work of the Boston Public School System. I'm proud of what we do in the district. We absolutely have more work to do, and we absolutely are going to do that work. But I want to thank you. Lastly, and this is lastly, the selection panel, the folks that are part of this, Yvonne and Keith and all of you, and Jim, thank you so much for doing this. Because this is a special day in the city of Boston where we do get to celebrate some incredible accomplishments. Thank you.
I know.
Oh, it's my...
It's your watch here.
It's my watch.
Okay, we're good.
So my watch was on. Oh, my goodness. Dick Tracy or something. So we're going to move right to this. We thought we were going to have to warm you up even more for the gifts, but you've been doing an incredible job. So what happens from here is this. We're going to announce the winner. We're going to take a quick photo, followed by remarks from the winning school principal. I want to invite up the mayor, the superintendent. I want to invite up Catherine, come on up. Jim, of course, you got to get up here, Jim Stone. Jessica Tang, come on up here. And Marino, of course, you get up here so that we can announce this prize winner.
And Michael Locanto as well.
Oh, Michael, get up here. I'm sorry, man.
And regardless of
Of
the
course,
winner,
our school committee chair.
regardless of the winner, we salute the two finalist schools for their tremendous efforts on behalf of their students. And both finalists will actually receive an award of $10,000 along with an award to display in their school building. And while there is but one school on the prize move each year, we have enormous respect and appreciation for the efforts of all three schools. When the winner is announced, we invite that the school leader join us at the podium to accept the prize on behalf of their school community. And without further ado, Mr. Motley.
So, not wanting to have a Steve Harvey moment, we made sure that this envelope is open now. And what's so impressive is they don't know who the person is. And so without further ado, the winner is the
Harvard
Kent School.
Thank you so much. You did such a nice job. Thank you so much. You going back for picture first?
Yeah. Which one do you want? One up here.
Oh my God.
I didn't prepare a speech. I thought it would have been bad luck. I'm nervous as all heck. First thing I need to say is thank you to everyone from Edvestors. The only thing I can say is that everything that you do matters. It matters to our kids, to our families, to our schools, and please keep doing this work, because next year's winner and the winner of the year after that and anyone who wins these awards and all the things you do for math and so many things you do in the Boston Public Schools, they matter. Next, I need to say a little thank you to the teachers at the Harvard Kent School. I think my only regret this morning right now is that this is Halloween morning and it's really hard to get teachers out of school on Halloween. And I can honestly tell you that I asked quite a few more than I hear today, and they said to me, "Are you crazy? I am not leaving school on Halloween." But that says a lot about their dedication to their students, which is more important than coming to the breakfast to them. But Jim Stone asked us a couple times, can you give us like a sentence that describes why your school continues to improve and do well? And I told him that was actually impossible, but if I had to put one in, it would have to involve teachers, and we appreciate the work that our teachers do every day. The job that I do every day is to make sure they can do their job, and that's it. They're better at teaching than I am. They know the kids better than I do. The teachers are the reason why we continue to make the moves that we do. To Claire and to Emily, the Bradley and the Kenny are two amazing schools that are incredibly lucky right now to have two of the best school leaders in Boston. It was great to go through this journey with the both of you. And one of the things I noticed by watching your videos is what we do as school leaders is we watch what other good schools do, because there's so many good things going on in the Boston Public Schools. And then we take those things and we bring them into our own schools and make sure they work for our kids and families as well. And watching both of your videos, I said to myself, there's no way we can win. Look what they're doing at the Kenny. Look at what they're doing at the Bradley. So congratulations to both these schools for being finalists, and it's been great working with both of you guys. And I know a lot of people have to get to work soon, but I do have to make sure we thank so many of the people who are here today to support the Harvard Kent. We have some of our families here from our Parent Association. Thank you for believing in our school and taking a chance to send your kids to our school and trusting us to do the job that we promised. We want to thank the folks from our Harvard Kent Leadership Board. I won't talk a lot about it, but we have a pretty unique program where we every year give out college scholarships to 6 kids. The mayor's been there, Jessica's been there, and it's a pretty amazing program that makes a difference. Our kids are talking about college when they're 9 years old, and they've been doing this for years. So thank you to our leadership board. Thank you to our friend Steve, who always supports us with the work we do with math. Thank you to our teachers who came here today, the retired and current teachers, and ones who will be retiring in the next few months. But really, thank you to everyone who came out to support us. Thank you to Edvestors. I don't know what else to say except for thank you.